You are now listening to Hoardganize with professional organizer and extreme cleaner Rachel Seavey. Every Sunday at 6 p.m., Rachel shares organizing tips and hacks. Rachel combines her experience, expertise, and compassion to help people learn new methods on how to deal with overwhelming clutter. Her media appearances include The Hoarders Show, the CBS Sunday Morning Show, and the Lady Brain Show. Take it away, Rachel.
Hey, collectors! Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hoardganize podcast. We are in the Where Do I Begin series, and we are going to be discussing keep versus donate. How do you decide what you want to keep versus what you want to donate? Right now, I am at my sorting station, as discussed in episode 1 of this series. And I've got my containers, my keep, my donate, important, and my trash bags. And now I have my to go through box to tackle. In our last episode of the Where Do I Begin series, episode 3, we discussed starting at an easy place by discarding obvious trash and recycling. I am assuming that you have discarded any obvious trash and recycling around you, in the area that you are decluttering currently, and of course, in your to go through box. So, now the big question is, what do you do with the actual stuff? We are at the good part, collectors of the series. I know you've been waiting to get here for a moment. How do you decide whether to keep or donate a perfectly good item? It's okay to be confused. You might like all of the items in your to go through box. So, this episode is going to give you some questions that you can ask yourself and teach yourself how to make decisions on your items. And these items are a little bit harder to go through. They might be beauty supplies or kitchen supplies. I see a lot of craft items and tools, a lot of new items. And perhaps you even know that you have duplicates of these items. You might have slightly used items, and you might have items that you totally forgot about, and now you're super excited to see them again. Your to go through box might be daunting. It might have miscellaneous items all mixed in, paperwork, clothing, product. And that's okay that your items are all mixed together. And it's okay if all of your items are the same category too. Try not to overthink things, collectors. Just forge forward and go through your items in your to go through box one by one. Please note when you start going through your to go through container, you will have incredible urges to get up and put things away. Please don't do this. This will actually slow down the process. It could sabotage the process. I know that you just want to get up for a minute and put that spatula in the kitchen, but please don't. I promise it will get to the kitchen, just not right this second. If it's urgent to you that spatula get into the kitchen, then put it into your important container to deal with right after your decluttering session. I want you to sit at your sorting station like a machine. I want you to decide keep or donate. that will be your focus. And it's okay if you still come across some trash or recycling, just go ahead and discard it. If you have ADD, ADHD, it's especially important that you don't get up to put things away. Getting up for just a second might lead you into 5 more distractions, and you might not come back to your decluttering, or you might be exhausted or forget what you were doing. If you need to write yourself a note, a post it note about this, I suggest you remind yourself often about just staying put and trying your best to not immediately put something away. And also, as a side note, you might not actually have a place to put that. If you have hoarding disorder or extreme clutter, you're probably maxed out on storage and capacity right now. So go ahead and decide keep or donate. And if it's a keep, just go ahead and put it into your keep container. My OCD clients are probably absolutely livid that I would tell you to put all of your keep items of different categories into the same bag. So I just want to let you know that it's okay. If you're dealing with extreme clutter, this is not such a bad thing to do. You're going to have to move quickly and be efficient and really understand what items you like and what projects you want to complete. So don't obsess over miscellaneous items all being kept in a keep bag to go through later. I've said before, Ohio, in my personal opinion, that only handle it once does not work very well with my hoarding and extreme clutter clients. I believe it's okay to have a second or third pass on items. And you've just got to try your best to not get hung up on individual items. I like to give myself about 30 seconds. I give my clients about a minute. And if you haven't really decided what you want to do with that item, go ahead and put it in your keep bag for now, and we'll revisit it later. I do understand that you will have to touch it twice, and that's okay. Right now, we're just trying to weed out what you can let go of out of all your stuff. So let's focus on that. I'm going to cover a topic that I hear a lot. People say, "Oh, I know somebody that could use that." I actually hear that quite a bit. And by this, I mean I'm working with somebody and they come across a leather satchel and they say, "Oh, my niece would absolutely love this. I'm going to put it to the side for her." I really want you to think about this if you're dealing with extreme clutter. Perhaps you have a friend that you've been meaning to give things to. I just want to talk about this for a minute, collectors. Does your niece or your friend really want these items? If you called them right now, this minute, would they truly be super enthusiastic about that item and so glad that you put it to the side for them? I also want you to ask yourself if getting this item to your friend will require a lot of effort. Is there distance involved? Are you really going to drive down to the post office and mail this item to your friend? Are you going to bring them over the next time you see that friend? Are you really going to remember to bring it? And chances are your friend might not even want these items. And perhaps they don't even have the same sentiment as you do with this item. The time is now for you, collectors. I bet you that your friend will survive without these items. Please just let them go. If you know you don't want that satchel, go ahead and put it in the donate pile. Don't get caught up in helping everyone else. You have got to help yourself. Another thing I hear a lot is, well, what if I need it one day? That's a extremely popular question that I hear. I really want you to think to yourself, how often have you actually used that item? When is the last time you used that item? Do you have duplicates of it? How easy would it be to get another one when the time came around? And if the time approached you that item was actually needed, would you go to that exact item once it was needed, or would you choose something else? Really want you to remind yourself about your vision of living a clutter free life and ask yourself constantly if that item is going to help you reach that vision. Okay, so I want to just quickly review what I've discussed in this podcast. You are not getting up from your sorting station to put things away, and you're going to put yourself first and always think about your vision of being organized when making important decisions. Next, I want you to do this with each item. Pick up and hold and touch and look at and smell each individual item. Do you truly need that item? Do you have others just like it? Is this something that you could actually use? Is this item in good enough condition to use? A really good question to ask yourself is, would someone else with much less appreciate it more? Would someone else with much less appreciate it more? It could possibly go to someone with almost nothing. Donation centers and shelters truly need your donations. People in need do go to the Goodwill and the Salvation Army and to the church and to the women's shelter to get their clothing and home goods. If you still decide to keep the item, go ahead and put it in the keep bag. But if you really think someone else with much less could use it, put it in the donate bag. And just remember another thing, if it's not in good condition, please put it in the trash or recycle. I see a lot of garbage being donated. Now, if you have a puzzle and you are missing pieces, I really don't think a child who's already poor and who else knows what they're going through would appreciate a puzzle with missing pieces. I think any child or person would be frustrated with that. If you have an item that is ripped or torn or stained, go ahead and throw it out. It's really not fair to donate unusable items to the donation centers. They actually end up having to absorb the cost of the landfill fee.
Are you embarrassed and ashamed to have people over? Do you need expert advice on the tools you need to begin decluttering? Hoarding and chronic disorganization specialist Rachel Seavey offers one-on-one consultations for people who are ready to make a change. For more information, visit collectorcare.com.
Before moving to another area in your home, make sure that you work on all of the items in your to go through box. Starting in another area might confuse you, and you might forget what decisions you made originally from your to go through box. It's very important that you follow through with this. Once your to go through box is empty, you should only be left with items that you want to keep or donate, or items that are important and need to be dealt with right away. Everything should be sorted out into those categories, and your box should be empty. Now, let's take a minute and talk about items that you might not be sure about. A lot of people say, well, I don't know if I really want this blouse. I'd really like to know how many blouses I have before I make those kind of decisions. You just might not be sure if you even want or need a particular item and want a little bit of time to think about it. If you've spent valuable time and energy thinking about particular items, go ahead and just put them in your keep bag. Don't allow the process to stop and one item to weigh you down, literally. It's okay to have a second pass at things. I will reiterate that. It is okay to have a third pass at things. Once you are used to the process and you've gone through countless items, you're going to be so much better at making decisions. You might get to this keep bag at the very end of it and decide you don't want any of it. For right now, don't get hung up. Don't make an I don't know pile. Just put it into the keep. I'm really trying to keep it simple. And I know that my OCDers hate this, but go ahead and deal with that uncomfortable feeling because your house is a mess already. So it doesn't really matter that you're sorting a little less than perfect. However, this is not a hall pass. Really try your best to make decisions about whether you want to keep or donate. Only allow a few of your I don't know items to creep into your keep bag. Always ask yourself if someone with less could eat it more. Is this item going to help you towards your vision of living a less cluttered life? Keep imagining your home once this process is done. Is that particular item included in your vision? Before we wrap up on this episode, and after each of your decluttering sessions, I want you to label your keep container and write down what room they came from and the date. Do not attempt to sort them now. I know you want to put all your items away right this second, but don't. Like I said, there probably isn't a place to technically put them right now if your home has extreme clutter. The object of this episode is to learn how to go through your items by yourself and what questions to ask yourself out loud. It's not for your home to be instantly organized. There's a long way away from that, and I just really need you to accept that it took a really long time and effort for you to clutter up your home. And it's going to take a lot of time and effort to declutter it, especially when you're working all by yourself. You've got to make sure that you always congratulate yourself for a job well done, whether it's a scoop of ice cream or watching a movie. Celebrate your work in a clutter free manner. Collectors, I know that you want it all done now, but that is not going to happen. Accept the task. It's a big one. Acknowledge your hard work and your progress and never give up. Great job, collectors. You just sorted a box all by yourselves. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you to take your donations out to your staging area if your bag is full, and take your trash and recycling out if that's something that you can physically do, but it's a great idea to have your sorting station completely clear for the next time you declutter. I love to wipe down and clean my sorting station. And if I removed a small area of clutter for the items that I was going through and they were put into my box, that area that is now clear, I like to clear and clean that space. And it's really important that whenever you have a flat surface that you have cleared, to wipe it down, dust it, and keep it clear. It's really easy to clutter up again. So once you have a space that's clear, you have to make a rule that you are not going to clutter it again. Tune into our Hoardganize podcast on YouTube, where I will be personally going through my own clutter, making decisions hard and easy, and of course, rewarding myself for a job well done. I am having a little bit of sound issues only because I have been insisting on doing this podcast all by myself. And so I wanted to get this information out to you so that you could listen to it. But I know that I've promised you that I'll be going through my own clutter and putting myself under the gun. And you will be able to see that on YouTube, hopefully very soon. Stay tuned. Our next podcast, we will be discussing donations a little bit more in detail because it's definitely an item, a discussion that's worth its own podcast. We're going to talk about how to prepare your donations in order to get them to the center, on what kind of centers you can take different donations to, and what kind of items that you cannot donate. Because there are items that you cannot donate, and sometimes people are surprised. So I'll be going over a list of items that you might not know, but you are not able to donate them. Until next time, collectors, remember, happiness is a place between too little and too much.
Thanks for tuning in to Hoardganize with Rachel Seavey. Listen every Sunday at 6 p.m. or watch on Collector Care's YouTube channel. Rachel is the owner of Collector Care Professional Organizers and Extreme Cleaners located in sunny Northern California. Her passion is helping those overwhelmed with clutter, and she regularly speaks to families, local agencies, and the public about chronic disorganization and hoarding disorder. Her popular Affirmations for Collectors download can be found on iTunes or Amazon. Sign up for her blog and receive 7 tips for clutter-free living at collectorcare.com.